I don't know, is that a rebuild question again?
No,
Like a,
that isn't, because
okay,
a lot of teams that are good maybe make a huge deal and pushes them further. A lot of teams that are good stay as they are
gotcha.
and try. So that's not a rebuild question.
Okay, all right. So I would say that I feel like as though there are a lot of pieces in place that were part of our backbone of the 17 season, of the 18 season, which ended up in the postseason for us. So a lot of that backbone is still with us. Right? Um, some of those guys had down years for us this year, right? And for different reasons, they're going to be able to rebound from a down year. But as we all know, it takes a lot. It's not just 25, right? It takes a lot of guys to not just get through a long 162, but get into the playoffs and make a playoff push and actually get deep. Um, and so, will there be necessary changes to or improvements to the large group, 40-man roster, potentially the depth in the organization? There's definitely possibilities there. It's too early to say how that's going to look or what that's going to look like. Some time needs to pass before we get an exact kind of look at what that actually is, since it's just October 1st. But I mean it was a different team, in 19 than it was in 18. It was different in 18 than it was in 17. And fortunately for us, in 17, it was different and better than it was in 16 and 15 and 14, right? And so, no matter what the last game of the season entails for you, I think there's always that feeling of how do we get better. That being said, I do think that there's a really good foundation and construct to build from or to expect from, right? We had pretty high expectations for this year. And I don't think those expectations were out of line coming off back-to-back playoffs. Our expectations were to play playoff baseball again. And we didn't do that, but that doesn't mean that the construct or the foundation isn't there.
Yeah, I'll add, Thomas, that with every season, there's a natural turnover of players, as you know. And not to be redundant with Jeff, this year there were some guys from the previous teams that had solid years, and there were some guys from the previous years that didn't have great years that can turn it back around and have a solid year next year. So, to Jeff's point, there's a group of players that are talented, and a number of those players had solid years, and a number of them didn't. That maybe had good years the previous years. So, with that said, it's more about when a game starts and you have 25 players on the team, and the game unfolds. You need your guys to play well, whether it's the 8 starters, a couple guys that come off the bench, the 4 or 5 pitchers you might use in a game. You need them all to play well during the course of a game to win a game. And this year was a little variable, but to next year, can the same group of guys with the natural turnover of players that happen be a good group? Absolutely can. Michael.
I don't know who wants to answer this, but what is that process like for you guys when the season is unfolding the way it is and you decide, hey, let's stay the course and kind of trust the process? And then, Dick, for you as the owner, how tough is it to be patient and let that play
out? It's easy to be patient, but it's tough at the same time. This year, the last couple of years at the trade deadline, we've added a piece. Not a huge piece, but a piece that actually helped us during the last couple months. This year we didn't. We weren't really a buyer. We weren't really a seller. In hindsight, there may have been an opportunity to be a buyer that long-term might have helped us. Short-term might not have done much, and that's on me. But you know, I'm pretty patient. I really do believe in our players. I believe in Jeff. I believe in Buddy. And so I'm patient, and some of these things happen. I mean, I was just this morning, you know, the Dodgers didn't really change a lot. I mean, did they have any big signings? Not really, right? I
Pollock,
mean,
yeah, Pollock. was really
Pollock's the only one, and he was hurt half the year. So, I mean, and yet they won, you know, they won what, 14 more games than they did a year ago? What was it? 14, 15 games more than a year ago? So I think part of the deal is you have to be patient. Jeff mentioned some of the young guys, you know, Ryan McMahon, you know, Tapia and Hampson, and, you know, our young pitchers. I mean, I think you have to be patient. I think you have to be patient with those guys. They all grow, you know, it's like your kids. They don't all grow up the same way. And so I think you have to be patient, especially when you're a team that depends on drafting, developing your own players. I think you really have to be patient, and you can't, you know, you can't just overreact to a tough situation. So